Hey everybody, welcome back to the latest edition of Notre Dame Daily. I'm Pete Mulroy. Extended weekend for me here. Been running all over the place with summer school coming to a close, getting prepped for the start of the new school year. My daughter starts school in September, so it's been a busy time. But glad to be back with you, specifically as camp in South Bend is comfortably underway. A couple days into that now, and early on at the end of last week, even bleeding into Monday, not a ton of surprises, I suppose, from a first team perspective. But this camp is big, right? We said that last week. The Irish, of course, have a new defensive coordinator in Chris Ash, some defensive spots to figure out defensively from a starting perspective. And of course, one way or another, they're going to have a first-time quarterback who's a starter, be it Kenny Minchey or C.J. Carr. But thus far, the early returns have been overwhelmingly positive for the Irish. And as I suspected, as I think we many of us did, the opening offensive line early on in camp from left to right featured Knapp at left tackle, Schrouth next to him, Craig up the gut, Sullivan Abshire at right guard, and Wagner as the right side bookend. So I don't think there were too many surprises, at least early on there, as now Coach Rudolph and company will start messing around and playing around and see potentially where, if any place, some of these guys might get moved around on this offensive line. Of course, Notre Dame, without Charles Jagasaw for extended period of time, they'll report last week saying that he is expected to return at some point this season. Defensively, you've seen a lot of the first group, which features an unreal abundance of talent up front. The Irish went early on with Josh Burnham and Boubacar Traore on the edges. Traore, of course, wildly talented athlete who saw his season a year ago come to an end after 5 games due to injury, but the talent level there throughout. So he's someone it justifiably fair to be pumped up about. Donovan Heinisch and Gabe Rubio have been featuring a lot in the middle of the defensive line with that first group. Drake Bowen, Jalen Sneed, a great 1-2 punch at the linebacker position, and your starting corners, no shocks here. There'll continue to be Christian Gray and Leonard Moore. We saw and another guy who I think we're all expecting to take even more of a step forward from last season is Adon Schuler. The conversation going into camp was, well, who would be across from Adon Schuler? And it's been Luke Talich with that first team early on, Devontae Smith featuring in the nickel. Rave reviews coming out of the backfield from camp as well, though there's no surprise here. Heisman candidate Jeremiah Love has looked incredibly crisp, and the best part here is the knee brace that he featured down the stretch of last season into the CFP is gone, nowhere to be found. The two-back sets, which feature Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price on the field together, are something we can expect to see moving forward this season. Mike Denbrock, as we know, is not going to be shy about incorporating those two-back sets with those gentlemen in there as he consistently works to get the best players on the field at all times. Jabron Payne has looked good early on in camp. He was a key piece to Notre Dame's success on third down 2 seasons ago. He's looked active. He's looked quick, good burst. He's coming back from a knee injury suffered in last year's Blue Gold game that was a setback that ultimately cost him the entire season. And now you get into the nitty-gritty, right? From a quarterback perspective, Kenny Minchey's mobility here has been beyond noticeable, which is great news because we already knew he possessed a strong arm and quick release. Couple of picks from both of these guys, Minchey and C.J. Carr, during early camp sessions, and that'll tend to happen with younger QBs. That being said, Denbrock and Marcus Freeman are not going to put someone, and I've said this before, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. They're not going to put someone in the QB1 spot under center week 1 who's not ready to roll. All right, August 31st, a couple weeks away. So it makes these camp reps and runs all the more essential. We know that. But this battle will continue to go. No clear-cut winner or a proverbial favorite, if you will. The coach is speaking about it. Coach Gino liking some aspects from both of them in previous press conferences. The same for Coach Denbrock and Marcus Freeman. So all in all, at least from my seat in the house, we're starting to learn a lot about the depth and stability on this roster. And while the quarterback battle, yes, it rages on. while it creates some uncertainty with the fan base, as these things generally do, again, rest assured that Coach Freeman is going to let both Carr and Minchie determine themselves who earns this job, this QB role, solely on their play and performance, including over the next couple of weeks in camp, which is a big deal. And it's obviously something I'll be tracking here for you based on the things I hear, read, see, and some of the conversations that I have. So far, so good in camp. Clean injury bill as well. No monster players going down, which was something that bit Notre Dame a lot last year, as we knew. So that is also an incredibly positive sign as well. Fall camp is fun. You get to see some new guys. I know a lot of people are pumped up about Bryce Young, who's been doing some work with the second unit, but he's going to feature a lot this season. There's really a lot to love here. That backfield, 4 or 5-headed monster. If you throw in Aeneas Williams and Keidron Young and a healthy Jabron Payne, good-looking wide receivers. I love the comparisons that I'm seeing with Malachi Fields on the outside from a frame perspective to that of Miles Boykin. I've seen that a lot, and I think that's something we can all get on board with. If he's as productive as Miles was this season coming up for Notre Dame, the Irish are in for a big productivity year on the outside. So it's going to be fun to continue to watch camp, and I'll keep you abreast as best I can. Continuing these player profiles, I do want to talk about Sullivan Abshire today, as we see in camp getting the first crack at that right guard spot, 6'8", 325-pound redshirt sophomore from Belmont, North Carolina. This was a kid who was a consensus 4-star recruit in high school, played in all 16 games for the Irish last season, both on the offensive line and with a role on special teams, and he's shown really good ability in the run block game. And while his pass pro skills continue to develop, Abshire is an extremely physical player, and that's what you want up front. Physicality is always a welcome and needed attribute, and this kid, folks, has it. Plus, you look at that frame, right? The frame can't be taught. The techniques and the skill can be advanced upon, but this kid's got the monster frame, so the physicality aspect really should not come as a surprise. And the upcoming season marks the first true opportunity for Abshire to lock down a starting role on what very well may be, as I think we all agree, America's best offensive line. Monster frame again, easily one of the largest interior linemen in the country. And the Irish hope, as we all do, that frame, which allows the sophomore to create leverage up front, is going to help him further develop into a consistent piece up front. Yes, you have rising stars in Will Black, Gerby Lambert. They give the Irish stellar depth as well as options when it comes to the starting five. Abshire seems, however, to have the inside track to this right guard position, and even days 1 and 2 in camp had shown that from left to right when I talked about early part of the show with Anthony Knapp at left tackle, Billy Schrouth at left guard, Ashton Craig at center, Abshire then there at right guard, and of course the All-American Emil Wagner at right tackle to bookend things. So it's definitely going to be fun watching the development here, and for Abshire it's probably going to come at least in the infancy in that starting role. Play well, stay on the field, you keep rolling. But again, as I said at the top of the show and a couple times last week, and most of you know this already and probably agree with me, I think some of you just like disagreeing with me for fun. But as we know, with the fall camp ongoing, Joe Rudolph's going to work up different combos to see what he has across the board. And conversations we've had and I've had off the air, if that means perhaps moving Anthony Knapp to the right guard spot and allowing a fast riser in freshman Will Black to open the season at left tackle, then Abshire, what would that mean? That he would see a different role there, obviously. For now, however, that starting five up front is how camp opened. I think what we expected. But again, we don't know for sure what things are going to look like come August 31st. You take those different elements, injury, changing of position, whatnot. You can't rule anything out. But one thing is for sure. Sullivan Abshire is going to have a major role one way or the other. His frame, length, impressive power, and his leg drive are all impressive. And when you consider some of the defensive fronts and second-level players the Irish are going to see this season, from the likes of starting with Miami and Texas A&M, boom, boom, games 1 and 2, USC and others, having every ounce of talent and strength on the field is paramount. Abshire, regardless of his role, will bring that every weekend, and you just absolutely love the physical nature that he brings and that big frame. It's going to do a lot of good up front for an extremely talented Notre Dame offensive group, but one that's going to even push the boundaries even further when it comes to protecting their brand new starting quarterback and first-time starting quarterback, whether it be Minchie or Carr. Just want to wrap today with some quick recruiting news. The Irish looking to build off the monster success of the 2026 class, which could still, by the way, include the addition of star defensive tackle Elijah Golden next week when he announces on the 9th. The Gold and Blue find themselves in great position for another defensive star in the 2027 class, that being four-star defensive back Marquise Bryant, a 5'11", 190-pounder from Rollsville High in North Carolina. Recently announced his top 6 schools. You may have seen this. Includes, obviously, Notre Dame, along with the Irish. Bryant has Georgia, UNC, Florida State, Tennessee, and Clemson on his final rundown. And he's one of the top safeties, folks, in the class, and certainly in North Carolina, a state the Irish, as we know, have had some great success in recently. He'd be another massive recruiting win, Bryant would, from Marcus Freeman and company. Coach Freeman loves doing work in the Tar Heel State. You got 2026 commits, Rodney Dunham, Thomas Davis Jr., Ebenezer Iwatati, and Nick Reddish. The pipeline is more than already created, and we'll see moving forward what happens with Bryant. There's time on this, obviously. But given the recent national success on the recruiting trail for ND, Notre Dame finds itself once again heavily involved with a star player. And I think it's time we start saying it, and many of us think it and voice it. This is going to become the norm now. Notre Dame's recruiting has just been on a completely different level under Marcus Freeman, with help from guys like Al Washington, Mike Denbrock, Mike Mickens, Jawan Sider. This is just a completely different group of recruiting. Coach Gino in there as well, obviously. It's been damn fun to watch and to be a part of and to have conversations about this, because it's something we quite honestly haven't seen. The 27 class has this unreal potential to be as good, maybe even better than the 26 class, and that is saying something, because you watch this show regularly, you know how good the 2026 class is for Notre Dame and how much better it could potentially get if Elijah Golden elects to come to South Bend. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Always great to be back with you. Camp underway and ongoing. It's going to be fun. I'll have you covered right here every day on NDD. Have a great rest of yours. And as always, go Irish.